In this chapter, Israel complains about their hardships and food in the wilderness. God responds with judgment, but also with provision. Well, let's see. And Moses reaches a breaking point in his leadership. It's a powerful lesson about gratitude, leadership, and trust in God. You'll see by the end of this chapter what actually is going to happen, and it's not something good. Let's check this out, okay? First things first. The people complain. Fire breaks out. Verses 1 to 3, okay? This chapter starts with the people begin complaining about their hardships, and God's anger burns, and fire breaks out on the outskirts of the camp. The people cried out to Moses, who prays, and the fire stops. The place is named Taberah, burning. Lessons. Complaining shows a lack of trust in God's care. God takes grumbling seriously, especially after so much grace. And do you think that has ended here? No, 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 no. It's only beginning. Complaining about manna, craving meat. Verses 4 to 9. They didn't stop complaining, okay? The mixed multitude, foreigners traveling with Israel, begin craving meat, and the Israelites join in. They complain is, we remember the fish, cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic in Egypt. But now they only have manna, the miracles food from heaven. They are tired of God's provision, even though it kept them alive, right? Lessons. Ungratefulness distorts memory. Slavery in Egypt starts to look better than freedom with God. We must not despise God's daily provision, okay? Now let's start talking about the third part of this chapter. Moses feels overwhelmed, verses 10 to 15. Moses hears the people weeping and feels crushed by the burden of leading them. He cries out to God, even saying, if this is how you treat me, please kill me. That's very serious. But God didn't do anything in regards to that yet. Lesson. Even great leaders like Moses can feel broken and exhausted. God listens that when we are honest in our struggles. Yeah, like Moses was leading like the whole tribe. It was a lot of people complaining and whining. But things are going to change in the field. Okay, God provides help. 70 elders, verses 16 to 30. Let me explain this. God tells Moses to gather 70 elders to share the burden of leadership, okay? So he's going to pass Moses' powers to them. God places part of his spirit on them, and they begin to prophesy, confirming their calling. Two elders, Eldad and Medad, prophesy in the camp. Prophecy in the camp. Joshua tries to stop them, but Moses says, I wish all the Lord's people were prophets. Lessons. Leadership should be shared. God doesn't want leaders to burn out alone. God's spirit is not limited. He can use anyone, okay? The fifth part of this chapter talks about God sends quail and judgment. Okay, let's see. This encompasses verses 31 to 35. God sends a wind that brings quail from the sea, and they fall all around the camp, a day's journey in every direction. Sounds really good, right? The people gather massive amounts and begin eating. But while the meat is still in their mouths, God sends a plague. Due to their greed and rejection of Him, the place is called Kibroth Hatava, which means graves of craving. Lessons. Craving can lead to judgment when it replaces gratitude. God gave them what they wanted, but it came with consequences. Yeah. Themes and lessons from Numbers 11. Grumbling is dangerous. Complaining blinds us to God's goodness and opens the door up to judgment. Second, God knows when leaders are overwhelmed. Moses' cry shows us that even strong leaders need support. God provides spiritual empowerment and shared leadership. Third, be careful what you crave, okay? Sometimes God gives us what we ask for to teach us what we really need. Our cravings can destroy contentment and even bring ruin. Fourth, God's Spirit empowers others too. Leadership and gifts are meant to be shared, not hoarded. Conclusion: Numbers 11 is a powerful warning about complaining, discontentment, and the dangers of craving more than God has provided. It also shows God's compassion for a leader who's overwhelmed and a people who don't understand their own hearts. It reminds us to trust, be thankful, and seek strength in God, not in our cravings, okay? Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment, and see you in the next one.